allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me for a moment of silence, please. All right, you may be seated. Please remember to silence your cell phones. Joining us on the phone is Supervisor Ung. Supervisor Ung, joining us from Iceland.
That is correct.
All right. What time is it there?
9:30 p.m.
All right, all right.
Sounds cool.
All right. First is the approval of the agenda.
I move it. Second.
All right. Moved by Supervisor Nelson, second by Radig. Any discussion? Any comments? Okay. All right. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. Mark, if you can sign that one. Oh, yep, yep. All right. Items 2 through 6 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items pass unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Number 2 is approval of minutes of the July 9th, 2024 meeting. Number 3 is approval of claims. Number 4, from Board Administration, Karen James, it's approval of resolution thanking and commending Valerie Ping for her years of service with Woodbury County. Number 5, from Human Resources, Melissa Thomas, approval of memorandum of personnel transactions and the authorization to initiate the hiring process. And lastly, number 6, from County Treasurer Tina Bertrand, received the semi-annual report for period ending June 30th, 2024. I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Bittinger, seconded by Radig. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. And that ends our consent agenda. Number 7 on our agenda today from juvenile detention is Ryan Weber. Ryan, go ahead and you can come on up. If you can turn your mics on, please. Go ahead.
Ron Weber, juvenile detention. Just looking for an approval to enter into second year contract with Sioux City Community Schools for them to provide our meals. Slight increase, 10 cents breakfast, 15 cents per lunch, dinner. With the price of things, I think that's a pretty reasonable increase. I recommend that we go ahead and approve it.
I'll move that.
Second. All right. Moved by Radig, second by Nelson. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, passes 4-0. Thank you, Ryan. Number 8 from Secondary Roads, Mark Nara. Come on down, Mark.
Good afternoon, Mark Nair, Woodbury County Engineer. First item I had was a certificate of completion for Dixon Construction for Bridge E66. The work was done in compliance with the plans and specifications. The 120th Street Bridge is open and accepting traffic.
I'll move that.
Second. Moved by Radig. Motion by Radig, excuse me. Seconded by Nelson. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion passes 4-0.
Next up is approval to award the bids for bridge project to replace Bridge J78. I recommend award of the bids to Graves Construction for $606,737.87.
I'll move it.
I'll second. It looked like a lot of those came in under the estimate this time.
Yes, they did. This was an almost identical bridge to E66, and look at the price difference.
Right.
It's rare that the price actually comes down, so I was very pleased when I saw those bids.
You think they'll be needing bridges up by Spencer soon, too?
Right. Yeah.
Well, work may improve for them, but it does take time to get bridges from survey to construction, especially if there's aid dollars tied to it, so.
All right. The motion was,
I'm happy to get good bids right now.
that was moved by Nelson, seconded by Radig for 8B. All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0.
I've got a few bridge questions for Mark if you're looking to burn some time.
Well, next item, we've got a few minutes, don't
Yeah,
we?
we got 5.
I wasn't-
Better than burning bridges, am I right? Supervisor Radig?
I would agree.
Yeah, go, yeah. Yes, sir, thank you.
On the D38 bridge on the east side of Anthon still has alternating traffic, which it has since it reopened after the flood. Did that bridge sustain some damage from the flooding or what's
I
the
haven't had
reason
a
on that?
chance to get under it yet, but
Okay.
we will be taking a look at it.
Okay. And then on D50, and I talked last week about the shoulder work, and I got more people and just thought you could talk about it tonight.
Yeah.
Why? what
I
are issues
also
there?
updated the county website on that project, so, on the secondary roads page. But long story short, the material that we're using for shoulder construction is from LG Everest Sioux City Depot here. With the bridge over the Big Sioux River for the railroad between Sioux Falls and Sioux City being down, they're having to truck in all their material at a significant surcharge of $16.60 a ton of material. Working with a contractor, we have obtained another material source. They are currently crushing that material. It'll be a recycled asphalt mix. And we should start seeing shouldering on that road beginning the week of July 22nd. So I'm guessing they should have about a week to a week and a half worth of work left. So we should see that open by the end of July.
Great.
Pavement markings need to be done yet too.
Yep.
But the biggest thing is getting the shouldering done. We've got pretty severe drop off in a couple of those areas where we had no material at
Yep.
all. So that work will be resuming soon. One of the things that I wanted to update the board on was the Bennett McDonald Smithland levee. I was out on it. We've also had ISG, our drainage engineer, go out and examine the levee. ISG has turned in an estimate for reparative damages on the levee system at $2,007,000. There was damage to the earth embankments, damage to a couple of culverts. There really was nowhere that the levee breached. It just overtopped.
Sure.
I forget how many feet above record flood was measured at the Correctionville gauge, which I believe is the last gauge that we have.
I think it was 4.
It was at least 4, yeah. And it just simply overtopped the levee in a couple of places. I can't say that there wasn't settlement in the levee over the time between 1963 when it was built and now, but that flood was definitely well above any kind of anticipated crest level, and that contributed to the overtopping. But there was one of the culvert pipes damaged. There's a good deal of debris and sand and silt deposited on the banks that needs to be taken care of. And then there's a significant area where erosive damage upstream of the bridge has now actually broken into the profile of the levee embankment itself. Typically there's a levee embankment and a small flat area, and stream embankment, it's usually right about normal high water is where that break is, but we've actually broken through past that now, and they're into the levee embankment itself. So we were able to get ISG out there. They were able to get the estimate turned in advance of the deadline that was set by Iowa Homeland Security Emergency Management Division.
Mark,
That levee is,
it's 4:40 for our
we're
set
at
time.
time.
Yeah. So
Very good. The Board of Supervisors and my office have been contacted to request a purchase of some of the property that we own within the town of Correctionville. We refer to it as our tile shed there on Sioux Avenue, I believe it is. Or, yeah, Sioux Avenue, it's Railroad Avenue in behind it. And it's property that the county road department will never develop. We utilize that shed for storage. For instance, we kept the Homeland Security pumps in there. We use it for storage of minor equipment to keep it out of the weather. And we have a good deal of ground that's between a shed owned by Correctionville and our tile shed that is just lying unused. It's basically something we have to mow every couple of weeks. The city has use of that ground. A park's been discussed. Expansion of the city public works facility's been discussed for that property. But we had reached a purchase price agreement of $15,000, which is roughly what one of their residential lots costs in the areas where they're trying to encourage housing to infill. And they agreed to pay that price for this lot. And I recommend sale of the lot to the city of Correctionville for $15,000. That would be credited to the secondary road fund as reimbursement for the county's and county road department's investment in that property.
So you gotta make sure you say we're in a public hearing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, thank you. Yes, we're in a public hearing at this moment. Thank you, Supervisor Addy. All right, is there anyone here to speak for or against the sale of this land?
Seeing no comments, I would move the public hearing be closed.
Second?
All right. Moved by Raddick, second by Nelson. Any further discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion passes 4-0.
I'd move the sale of property.
Second?
All right, motion by Raddick, second by Nelson to sell the property to the city of Correctionville. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion passes 4-0.
Okay, there's a resolution for your signature. I'll have to redo the deed because it's got Matthew Young's signature block on it, so that would not be as easy a correction as what the resolution is, so. Will you be out by our shop at all this week, Dan, or?
I can be, yes, so.
Because I can make this correction, leave it with Tish. She's also a notary and can sign that deed for you. That would be the only other signature we would need, so.
Sure, okay, I can come out.
If that would work for you, I'll get the document corrected and then
Okay,
have you sign it, then we can get it recorded. And
sure. Come
Get it
out
turned
tomorrow
over.
or Thursday? What is the timeline you think?
Either day works. I'll be in the office tomorrow. I'm out of the office Thursday and Friday.
Okay,
And I do need Pat's signature on that as well, so. You know, most of our roads are open with the exception of that D38 bridge, and it's open, it's just not fully open at this point in time, so. We will be doing some additional removal of debris that's on a couple of those little Sioux River bridges in the upcoming weeks. There was a federal declaration. Whether or not we'll have expenses that will meet the criteria for that, I can't tell you at this point in time. But we are tracking all of our expenses that have been incurred with that. The county road department will have to bill the cities for the work we did within the towns, but we don't expect payment until they're reimbursed by FEMA. So they need something that they can turn in to FEMA. And then whenever they receive whenever they receive payment by the state and federal, then they would be able to pay our bill. We won't expect it before then, so.
I see that 511 added now that county roads can be updated. Will you guys be participating in?
We already are.
Oh, okay.
We've been utilizing the county 511 system with all of our construction projects for the last 4 or 5 years. And it's always been available in the Iowa DOT pull-down menu that's on the Iowa 511 site. But now our closures will be shown on the main map.
Sure.
So as people zoom into Woodbury County on the Iowa 511 system, they'll also see our closures. So we're having to make some changes in the way that we report those to fall in with the criteria that's preferred by the Iowa DOT, but we'll be making that adjustment on our current and subsequent closures.
All right, good. All right. Thank you,
All
Mark.
right, thank you.
All right, number 9 is any reports on committee meetings?
Did have an MPO meeting, but most of the things that we were acting on were outside of the Woodbury County area on the MPO.
Thank you. Anything, Mark?
Had an LEC meeting this afternoon. Supervisor Binger was there as well. I guess it was mostly or almost all of it was a good news meeting. The seismic bracing that we were concerned about 2 weeks ago that we brought up at that meeting are roughly 90, they said 90-95% installed. They've got shop drawings for secondary control from Entroba, so we can, Suter can begin work on that. Obviously, there'll be some ceiling tiles installed and some cleaning as a result of the installation of the seismic bracing, but everything is moving forward, and they've had a lot of manpower out there doing a lot of hours the last 2 weeks, so that's very nice to see. But overall, was a good report.
Matthew, any reports on committee meetings?
Nope.
Okay. All right, I have none to report myself. All right, number 10, any citizen concerns?
Good afternoon. Tina Bertrand, Woodbury County Treasurer. I don't really have a citizen concern, so I apologize if I'm talking out of turn, but I do want to commend on the consent agenda. There was a commending Valerie Ping. She's from actually the treasurer's office. She is here today. So I wanted to take the opportunity to totally embarrass her in front of everybody because she has been a great asset to the office. I will say that when I started, the first words out of her mouth was, "Hi, I'm Valerie Ping, and I'm retiring in 3 years and 2 months and 10 days." And so that time has passed, and she is now getting ready to leave Woodbury County, but she has been an asset to our office. I think she is a little disappointed that Supervisor Chairman Ung is not here today to take a picture with her, but I believe Supervisor Bittinger, it'll work just fine for you
Sure,
to
we would
do
be
the
more than
picture with
glad
her
to,
as well.
yes.
But I did just want to recognize her for her service with the county. So thank you.
Yeah, okay.
And I hope I thoroughly embarrassed her because she would not expect anything
Right.
less than that from me. Thank you.
All right. Well, let me read before we get a picture, and then Fowler, if you'd like to say anything, you'd be more than welcome if you'd like to say anything. And we'll get a picture, yes, with all of us here. But let me just read this resolution here. A resolution thanking and commending Valerie Ping for her service to Woodbury County. Whereas Valerie Ping has capably served Woodbury County as an employee of the County Treasurer's Office for 23 years, from March 28, 2001 to July 19, 2024. Whereas the service given by Valerie Ping as a Woodbury County employee has been characterized by her dedication to the best interests of the citizens of Woodbury County, and now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Woodbury County, Iowa, that the undersigned members of this board thanks and commends Valerie Ping for her years of service to Woodbury County, and be it further resolved that it is the wish of all those signed in below that the future hold only the best for this very deserving person, Valerie Ping, and be it so resolved the 16th day of July, 2024. Yep. All right, so let's do this. Let's come down.
Right in front.
We do it right in front of the podium? Okay. Yeah, just down there. Here you go, Valerie.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Would you like to say anything? You can't say no. Okay. Oh, whoops, hold on. Hold on. Thank you, Karen. Make it official. Yes. Thanks, Karen. We're just excited to celebrate you. All right. Any other citizen concerns? Yes.
Dan Priestley, zoning coordinator. I just wanted to point out that tomorrow the new floodplain maps become officially in effect, National Flood Insurance Rate Maps. And another thing, just a brief update on the floodplain permits. I've went out on Friday, talked to some property owners, trying to identify who is still needs to look at the floodplain development permits and identifying what the repairs are and kind of working with DNR and FEMA on some of those recovery aspects. And I do have a DNR rep coming to meet with me tomorrow to talk a bit more about the expectations with the local level and the different intergovernmental relationships there. So we're continuing to manage through the flood event issues. So,
All right.
Dan,
yes.
there's been some frustrations about the permits and some questions about why the supervisors can't get rid of the permits. Would you talk about why there's these permits, where they come from, who's overseeing a lot of the stuff, and
Yes.
just clarify some of that?
Yes, to be very clear, the supervisors, even though this is a county ordinance, the supervisors are not directly responsible as far as the floodplain permits. It's our relationship as members of the National Flood Insurance Program. So it's the classic example of federalism where we have that kind of hook or that control over us at the local level. So FEMA has expectations that we deal with the permits as far as our membership in the flood insurance program. So what happens is the requirements are that in terms of regulating the floodplain, their goal is that we deal with the direct safety and try to prevent future flood issues and future flood problems. So they introduced the concept of substantial damage, and DNR's talked to us about it. FEMA has talked about it. And so the county is in a position like, you have to do this to remain in good standing in this respective program. So in a way, we're administering this program, but yet we're not directly responsible for that other than staying in good standing with the program. So with that said, property owners that have to file this permit, the supervisors, of course, offered relief as far as the permit fee there, but the feds are basically looking to us to administer that program as far as identifying the level of damages that have been involved. And I will say it's generally been quite a headache, all the stress that property owners have had to endure and go through as far as the flood event. But to prevent future flood issues, the feds have basically put it in there that anything that exceeds the market value of damage over 50%, they would have to look at mitigating through elevation or the basic floodplain requirements of identifying a base flood elevation level and elevating the property, or we look at it from an economic standpoint. It puts property owners in a position of, do you make the decision to rebuild or not? And so that's pretty much how they teed up that program for property owners. So what they have to do right now, going through the stress of recovering, is to identify pretty much every aspect of what was damaged of value, things of sheetrock and those natures, identifying it. And the expectations of DNR and the feds are that they have some type of contractor's assessment on what the prices are, including labor. Then you run that up against the fair market value of the house, and that comes down to what would trigger the next level. But as far as us, of course, we have a county ordinance, but that county ordinance, you might remember when we pass the updates to the ordinance, they basically tell us it must be exact. We can't make any changes at the county level. And so that's the example of, we're basically doing what we're told here at the local level. So.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Dan.
Yep.
All right. Any other citizen concerns? All right. Board concerns?
I don't know, just one of those things that's like no chance for future abuse of that power, you know? 20 years from now, I mean, right now, it doesn't seem that great.
All right. No board concerns. Matthew, any board concerns?
Nope, thank you.
All right, just a reminder, there is no Board of Supervisors meeting next week. And so with that, Melissa or Tina, anything you guys need from the Board of Supervisors? Anything? Okay. All right.